So I first start by mixing my foundation in with a little bit of my facial oil, and I also take a luminescent liquid glow and I mix that in with my foundation. If you have oily skin, I would definitely avoid applying that with your foundation because it can tend to make you look oily all over. Next, I go in with my concealer on any areas that have a little bit of darkness or any areas that need to be covered. For this look, we want absolutely flawless skin. Then I take City Colors White Gold, which is again sort of a creamy based highlight. It's a golden undertone to it, and I apply it on all of the high points on my face. So that includes underneath the eyebrows, the tops of the cheekbones, a little bit on the chin, and down the center of my nose. Everywhere I place that primer or any of the creamy concealer using e.l.f.'s under eye setting powder. I then use a contour kit and I use the slightly lighter shade, which is the bronzing color, and I bronze around the edges of my face. This allows me to keep a little bit of definition in the face because we are going to be using a lot of luminescent products, and that can tend to sort of wash the natural contours of the face out. I use Urban Decay's primer potion and prime all over my eyes and also the sides of my face where color is going to be, so like the edges of the face and along the inner part of my nose. For this look, I'm going to be using mainly the Morphe 35U palette, and I'm using that row of pinks as well as that white. I'm also using the Sugarpill pink in Dollipop, and I'm using two colourpop eyeshadows. One is Bubbly, which is this frosty pink shade, and then the other one is Tinsel, which is a white frosty shade. You want to start by taking a medium tone pink on a blending brush and starting on the inner corner of the eye in sort of that little hollow right above the tear duct. You start layering that pink in the inside there, and then what you're doing is you're taking it on that blending brush and using it almost as a contour on the eye, on the nose, sorry, just to give a little bit of depth, and you want to blend that out up into the eyebrows as well to along the inner corner. The main key for this is that you absolutely have to blend every single color and every single edge, because for an ethereal look it needs to be blended and very soft. So here you see me taking it along the edge of the nose as a contour, and then I keep layering that color until I'm happy with the amount of color payoff. I am also taking that up towards the brow bone area before going back in with a little bit more of that pink, that pinkish purple, and just deepening up the inner socket. Then lastly, I'm going to take a medium shade pink, which is slightly lighter than this one, and apply that on the inner part of the eye, almost into that transition area. Taking a white base, I'm using the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk. I'm applying that to the inner corner of the eye and right underneath the brow bone. We really want to layer this on because we want a nice pop of white to really brighten up those shadows. And then I'm taking a medium tone pink again and placing this all over the lid. And then over that, I'm going in with Colourpop's Bubbly eyeshadow, which is a pretty sparkly light pink shadow. I take a matte white shadow and apply it to the inner corner before going over with Colourpop's Tassel, which is a sparkly white shade, and I do the exact same thing for the brow bone. So first that white shadow and then going over with Tassel. I just find that it works better with the color payoff with the Colourpop shadows, that if you put them by themselves, they're a little bit too sheer. At least these two are a bit too sheer, that they don't give enough brightness or pop. Using a bigger brush, I then pick up that same medium shade of pink from the palette and start buffing it onto my cheeks, right along the top part of my cheekbone and also along the edges of my forehead there. I also go in with a very shiny baked Jordana pink shadow and use that as a highlight on the top parts of my cheeks. I take that same pink color on a fluffier brush and start applying that on the outer edges of my eye and along the tops of my cheekbones, almost in a C shape around the eye itself. Using the same deeper purple shadow on an angled brush, I roughly line the top part of my eye very softly. Of that black eyeliner right at the base of the lashes so that when we apply the falsies, there's something to hide the lash band. I'm using a liquid glitter. This one is a pink glitter from NYX Cosmetics, and I'm applying a little bit on the back of my hand and using my fingers to apply this where I need it. This is going to add a little act as a glitter glue or a glitter base for the loose glitter that we are going to apply in a few seconds. Before it completely dries, I pat a combination of silver and pink glitter from LA Splash Cosmetics over that wet liquid glitter that I placed there just to hold the loose glitter in place. Next, I take a darker pink shadow and start to use this almost like you would a contour color. So underneath the cheekbones and around the very edges of the hairline, as well as down the bridge of my nose, again enforcing that contour that I would have done earlier. I then take a brighter pink lip liner and line the entire lips, filling them in using this lip liner, and then I go over the center of the lip liner using a slightly lighter pink lip liner color, creating almost like an ombre effect. I also take a liquid lipstick, which is a slightly lighter shade of pink, and apply it to the entire lips before taking some of that NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk to the center of the lips, just to create a very light sort of baby doll kind of pink color. This creates a very ombre look and can make the lips appear to be more full than they are. And lower lashes. And also I apply a nude liner to my waterline. I apply some very dramatic false eyelashes which are very soft and wispy. These are by Vegas Snay and they're called the Grand Glamour lashes, and that completes the look. I did make my own wings for this costume. However, you can buy a pair of wings and a halo for a very reasonable price. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the finished look. Let me know if you guys have any questions. As always, all of the products that I use will be in the description box below. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe and remember to share it with your friends.